Welcome back to Command Priority. Today I have Hei Bai Forest Guardian here. If you like Avatar, or if you like blinking stuff, or if you like being the problem at the table with enchantments, this is going to be for you. It's a really powerful deck. It does a lot of really cool stuff with enchantments, specifically shrines, and it can become the problem at a table really quickly. And once it becomes the problem, good luck dealing with it. I can tell you that both by having played it and by playing against it. It is hard to deal with once it gets its engines going. So today, I'm gonna break this deck down for you. Let's get into it together and find out more about Hei Bai Forest Guardian. It's Hei Bai Forest Guardian. He's a 3 and a green for a legendary creature, Bear Spirit. That's a 4/4. When he enters, you reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a shrine card. You may put that card onto the battlefield and then shuffle. And then you can pay Wooburg and tap him. For each legendary enchantment you control, create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token with this token can't block or be blocked by non-spirit creatures, which is, in all honesty, less relevant than his ETB, but I have won a game off his tap ability, making spirits. And if you've watched the anime, he's actually, in my opinion anyway, other than his look, because he looks less menacing as he is on the card than he does when he's going crazy in the anime. But in the anime, he's all about, he'll blink in, destroy something, and then blink out, and then blink in and destroy something and blink out. So I mean, he's all about blink in the anime, and in this deck, he is all about blink. So we have Destiny Spinner, 1 and a green for a 2/3 enchantment creature human. Creature and enchantment spells you control cannot be countered. And she has a tap ability of 3 and a green. Target land you control becomes an XX elemental creature with trample and haste until end of turn, or X is the number of enchantments you control, and it's still a land. I don't really use the second one that much. She's just in there to keep stuff from being able to be countered, my enchantments and creatures. Displacer Kitten is a great bounce piece in here for Hei Bai. You're going to cast a non-creature spell. You get the exile up to 1 target non-land permanent you control, and then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. Eldion of Blossoms, 2 and 2 green for a 2/2. Spirit Constellation. Whenever Eldion of Blossoms or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. Emil the Blessed, obviously just great blink, 2 and 2 white for a 4/4 unicorn with a activated ability of pay 3, exile another target creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. This deck is pretty good at making mana, so this is a way of just dumping it in here and blinking Hei Bai a bunch and getting a bunch of shrines on the battlefield. So I don't have any infinite in here. We don't have an infinite, but we are good at making mana. So being able to dump enough to do this 3 or 4 times into a meal is great all by itself. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay a hybrid of either a green or a white. If you do, put a 1/1 counter on it. If it's a unicorn, put 2 1/1 counters on it. Flicker Wisp is just another way of flickering Hei Bai, 1 and 2 white for a 3/1 with flying. When Flicker Wisp enters the battlefield, exile another target permanent. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. And we start getting into shrines, the creature shrines anyway. So Go Shintai of Ancient Wars is 2 and a red for a 2/2 with first strike. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay 1. When you do, Go Shintai of Ancient Wars deals X damage to target player or planeswalker, where X is the number of shrines you control. As you build up shrines, this is just a good way to deal damage to a player or planeswalker, and it's good value in here. Go Shintai of Boundless Vigor, 1 and a green for a trampling 1/1. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay 1. When you do, put a 1/1 counter on target shrine for each shrine you control. Go Shintai of Hidden Cruelty, 3 and a black for a 2/2 with Death Touch. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay 1. When you do, destroy target creature with toughness X or less, where X is the number of shrines you control. Next, we have Goshinta of Life's Origin, the original Shrine Commander. 3 and a green for a 3/4 shrine. It has a Wooburg ability of tap and return target enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. And what is the most relevant in Goshinta to me and here is whenever Goshinta of Life's Origin or another non-token shrine enters the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 colorless shrine enchantment creature token. Can get you a lot of shrines pretty quick, especially in combination with Hei Bai. Goshintai of Lost Wisdom, 1 and a blue for a shrine 0/4 with flying. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay 1. When you do, target player mills X cards, where X is the number of shrines you control. Goshinta of Shared Purpose, 3 and a white for a 1/3 with vigilance. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay 1. If you do, create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token for each shrine you control. Herald of the Pantheon, 1 and a green for a 2/2 centaur. Enchantment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, and whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you gain 1 life. If it's not apparent, obviously in this deck we're wanting to blink Hei Bai and get our shrines, but we do have to cast them as well. So this is just a good way to reduce their cost a little bit and gain a little bit of life back when we do. Jukai Naturalist, a green and a white for a 2/2 with lifelink. Enchantment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Again, a little bit of life gain, a little bit of cost reduction. Mesa Enchantress, 1 and 2 white for an 0/2 human druid. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you may draw a card. Sanctum Weaver, 1 and a green for an 0/2. You with a tap ability of add X mana of any one color, where X is the number of enchantments you control. As I said, this deck is good at making mana, especially middle game to late game. And this is just one of the ways it does it. Satyr Enchanter, 1 a green and a white for a 2/2 Satyr Druid. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you get to draw a card. More card draw. Cestian Champion, 2 and a green for a 1/3 with Constellation. It's a human warrior. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on Cestian Champion and draw a card. Really good card draw in here, especially with the blink. Shrine Steward, 5 mana colorless for a 3/2 construct. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an aura or shrine card, reveal it, and put it in your hand, then shuffle. Soul Herder, it's a 1, a white, and a blue for a 1/1 spirit. Whenever a creature is exiled from the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on Soul Herder, and at the beginning of your end step, you may exile another target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. Sithis Harvest's Hand is kind of the most popular enchantment commander. Not really for shrines, I don't guess, but really good enchantment commander. A green and a white for a 1/2 Nymph. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you gain 1 life and draw a card. Good card draw, good life gain. Weaver of Harmony, a 1 and a green for a 2/2 Snake Druid. And it's an enchantment creature, importantly enough. Other enchantment creatures you control get +1/+1. And then you can pay 1 green and tap it and copy target activated or triggered ability you control from an enchantment source. You may choose new targets for the copy. So this is used not so much for the buffing of my enchantment creatures as it is for the tap ability, because we use shrines that can deal damage or gain life or make mana or any of that. And so being able to double up on one of those, especially one that deals damage, is particularly good. Then we've got some ramp. I had to include some from the Avatar set because I wanted it to feel Avatar-y as well. So Aang's Journey, a 2 mana colorless sorcery lesson with kicker 2. And you search your library for a basic land card. If the spell was kicked, instead search your library for a basic land card and a shrine card. Reveal those cards, put them into your hand, then shuffle. You also gain 2 life. Cultivate for your basic ramp, 2 and a green to search your library for 2 basic land cards. Reveal those cards and put one onto the battlefield, tapped, and the other into your hand, and shuffle your library. Extinguish All Hope is a good removal spell. You do end up killing Hei Bai and your other stuff, but if this deck likes to win with its enchantments, specifically shrines, so being able to remove everything else or destroy everything else and just leave your shrines is really good. Farseek, Kadama's Reach, and Rampant Growth are all for ramp. Love green for that one aspect alone, if not everything else. That was terrible. Farseek, Kadama's Reach, and Rampant Growth are all here again for ramp like Cultivate. Farseek's 1 and a green. You get to search for a plains, island, swamp, or mountain and put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. Kadama's Reach is an identical copy of Cultivate, and then Rampant Growth, it lets you go get a basic and put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Airbending Lesson. It's a pretty good way of being able to bounce Hei Bai. You do have to pay 2 to airbend him back into play, but you get to draw a card. So 2 and a white, airbend target non-land permanent, which is exile it. When it's exiled, its owner may cast it for 2 rather than its mana cost. And then you get to draw a card. Blur, 2 and a blue for an instant, exile target creature you control and return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control, and you draw a card. Cloud Shift, a 1 mana instant, exile target creature you control and return that card to the battlefield under your control. Counterspell in case we need it. Displace is another bounce spell, 2 and a blue, exile up to 2 target creatures you control, then return those cards to the battlefield under your control. Ephemerate is the best bounce spell because it has rebound, so you're going to cast it from your hand for 1 white. You're going to exile target creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. And then, as I said, rebound. If you cast a spell from your hand, exile it as it resolves. At the beginning of your next upkeep, you may cast this card from exile without paying its mana cost. So a little bit of 2 for 1 there since it has rebound. Essence Flux is blue mana for an instant. Exile target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. If it's a spirit, put a 1/1 counter on it, which Hei Bai is, so he would come in a little bit beefier. Flicker of Fate, 1 and a white for an instant, exile target creature or enchantment, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. Ghostly Flicker, 2 and a blue, exile 2 target artifacts, creatures, and or lands you control, then return those cards to the battlefield under your control. Obviously it's used in here mainly for Hei Bai, but it can do artifacts, so being able to blink a couple mana rocks and get them back in, maybe if I needed a specific color that I didn't have available, is good. Heroic Intervention, 1 and a green, permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Momentary Blink, 1 and a white, exile target creature you control and return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. And then it has flashback, so it's not quite as good as Ephemerate, but you do get to use it again, which is handy, from the graveyard for 3 and a blue, so you can cast it from the graveyard. Then you exile it. And then Swords to Plowshares for some removal. Exile target creature, its controller gains life equal to its power. Artifacts, you've got obviously Arcane Signet. This is a 5-color deck, and despite what some people feel, which is fine for them to feel this way, I actually love Chromatic Lantern in 5-color decks and think it's awesome. So I have Chromatic Lantern in here so that my lands tap for a mana of any color, and it taps for a mana of any color. Commander Sphere, 3 mana for a tap to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity, and you can sack it and draw a card. Decanter of Endless Water for no maximum hand size. We do tend to draw a lot of cards in this deck. Felwar Stone to add a mana of any color that a land an opponent controls could produce. Maskwood Nexus, a 4 mana colorless artifact. Creatures you control are every creature type. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. And you can pay 3 and tap it to create a 2/2 blue shapeshifter creature token with Changeling. It's every creature type. So this is part of a combo in here. It's not necessarily an infinite combo, but it is part of a combo that we will get to in a minute. Panharmonicon, 4 mana colorless artifact. If an artifact or creature entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time, just for doubling up on Hei Bai's ETB. And then Soul Ring, of course. Enchantments, we have Airbender Ascension, which is actually a really powerful enchantment, I think. 1 and a white. When this enchantment enters, airbend up to 1 target creature. When a creature you control enters, put a quest counter on this enchantment. And at the beginning of your end step, if this enchantment has 4 or more quest counters on it, exile up to 1 target creature you control and return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. So we get to airbend Hei Bai, recast him, get another ETB. This gets a counter from Hei Bai entering. And then obviously with our other instance and ways of flickering Hei Bai and other creatures coming into play, we're going to stack the counters on this, and then at the end step it's going to become like a teleportation circle and be able to flicker a creature and bring it back into play, which is just going to get more ETBs off of Hei Bai. Crescent Island Temple from the Avatar set, 3 in a red for a legendary enchantment shrine. When Crescent Island Temple enters, for each shrine you control, create a 1/1 red monk creature token with prowess. And then whenever another shrine you control enters, create a 1/1 red monk creature token with prowess. So just a good way to get some bodies on the field to block with, because enchantments are enchantments and you're going to start drawing some hate even if you aren't really attacking anybody and doing anything, too crazy. Potent of Cleansing Fire, 3 in a white for a legendary enchantment shrine. At the beginning of your upkeep, you gain 2 life for each shrine you control. Good life gain. Potent of Infinite Rage, 2 in a red for a legendary enchantment shrine. Beginning of your upkeep, Potent of Infinite Rage deals damage to target creature or player equal to the number of shrines you control. Potent of Night's Reach, 3 in a black for a legendary enchantment shrine. At the beginning of your upkeep, target opponent discards a card for each shrine you control. This has been very mean, actually. Go to upkeep and make somebody discard their entire hand, no matter really how many cards they've got in it, is really good. Potent of Seeing Winds, 4 in a blue for a legendary enchantment shrine. At the beginning of your upkeep, draw a card for each shrine you control. Like I said, this deck likes to draw cards. Kyoshi Island Plaza from the Avatar set, 3 in a green for a legendary enchantment shrine. When it enters, search your library for up to X basic lands, where X is the number of shrines you control. Put those cards onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. And whenever another shrine you control enters, search your library for a basic land card, put on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. And this deck does like to make mana, as I said, and this is one of the ways that it can do it very quickly. I have cast this and went and got every basic land in my library and put it into play tapped and never had any mana issues the rest of the game. Northern Air Temple is a 1 black legendary enchantment shrine. This is one of the win cons in the deck. One of the ones I'm looking for to be able to pull, especially late game. When the Northern Air Temple enters, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the number of shrines you control. Whenever another shrine you control enters, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Sanctum of All is a 5-color legendary enchantment shrine. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may search your library and or graveyard for a shrine card and put it on the battlefield. You search your library this way, shuffle it. An ability of another shrine you control triggers while you control 6 or more shrines. That ability triggers an additional time. This is, I don't want to say a win more card, because I have had games where I've gotten this out, but I've not ran into my flicker stuff and been unable to flicker Hei Bai. So this has gotten me where I needed to get when I couldn't flicker Hei Bai. But I guess if you get both, it could be more of a win more card, but it's very powerful, especially when you get that second one going where you have enough shrines to double triggers on your shrines. Can get very powerful very quickly. Sanctum of Calm Waters, 3 in a blue for a legendary enchantment shrine. Beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you may draw X cards, where X is the number of shrines you control. If you do, discard a card. Sanctum of Fruitful Harvest, 2 in a green for a legendary enchantment shrine. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, add X mana of any one color, where X is the number of shrines you control. Sanctum of Shattered Heights, 2 in a red for a enchantment shrine. You can pay 1, discard a land card or shrine card. Sanctum of Shattered Heights deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker, where X is the number of shrines you control. Sanctum of Stone Fangs, 1 in a black for a enchantment shrine. Beginning of your pre-combat main phase, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the number of shrines you control. Another kind of win con in here, like Northern Air Temple, but the good thing about Northern Air Temple is it happens on ETB, and this you have to wait for your pre-combat main phase. Sanctum of Tranquil Light is a 1 white enchantment shrine with 5 and a white to tap it, with 5 and a white, tap target creature. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each shrine you control. So this is good for later game if you are kind of the threat, but you're not the threat that has a lot of bodies on the board. You can be able to pay into this and tap creatures before they can attack you to be able to keep yourself alive. Southern Air Temple from Avatar, 3 and a white for a legendary enchantment shrine. When Southern Air Temple enters, put X +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, where X is the number of shrines you control. Whenever another shrine you control enters, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. So a good way to buff your creatures that you do have in play, and that's pretty good. Sterling Grove, an enchantment for green and a white. Other enchantments you control have Shroud, and you can pay 1 and sack it to search your library for an enchantment card, reveal it, then shuffle and put that card on top. So obviously it's in here for the Shroud, but it is really handy if somebody's going to blow it up to be able to pay 1, sack it, and put a card on top of your library, because then if you can flicker Hei Bai, and you'll be able to get exactly the shrine that you're wanting to get into play. Teleportation Circle, 3 and a white for an enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, exile up to 1 target artifact or creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. Just a way to every end step of yours. So just a way that at every one of your end steps, you get to flicker Hei Bai. So for value. The Spirit Oasis from Avatar, 2 and a blue for a legendary enchantment shrine. When the Spirit Oasis enters, draw a card for each shrine you control. Whenever another shrine you control enters, draw a card. Then we get into the lands. It's a 5-color deck, but this is not a $10,000 deck. So in this one, I do not have the duels, but I do have some of the shocks in here. But this is a kind of more budget-ish friendly deck at $391.97. So not a $10,000 5-color mana base, unfortunately. So Breeding Pool is a good shock land. Command Tower, Dragon Skull Summit, Dreamroot Cascade, Godless Shrine, Hall of Heliod's Generosity is great in every enchantment deck, because you get to tap for a colorless, or you can pay 1 and a white and tap it to put target enchantment card from your graveyard on top of your library. Really good to be able to reuse ETBs of stuff off Hei Bai when he flickers, especially on ones like Sanctum of All, because people love to blow that up. Not that I can blame them, because it's very powerful. But yeah, good to get an enchantment back. Reliquary Tower, because as I've shown here, this deck loves to draw cards, and we want to keep them in our hand. Radiant Summit, Path of Ancestry. It really could come out of here, since we don't really have a lot of stuff that matches Hei Bai's creature type or anything, but it was a 5-color land, and like I said, this is a little bit more of a budget-friendly deck list. Overgrown Farmland, Rockfall Vale, Rootbound Crag, Sacred Foundry for another shockland, Sandstep Citadel for a tri-land, Seaside Citadel for another tri-land, Stomping Ground, Sunpetal Grove, Woodland Cemetery, White Lotus Hideout, just because it's from Avatar and it deals with shrines, and it's a 5-color land technically, Watery Grave, Vernal Fen. So World Tree is what the combo is with Maskwood Nexus here. So again, Maskwood Nexus is a 4-mana artifact that says creatures you control are every creature type. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature spells you own that aren't on the battlefield. And then the World Tree says that as long as you control 6 or more lands you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color. It taps for green, but then its big ability is 2 white, 2 blue, 2 black, 2 red, 2 green to tap it and sacrifice the World Tree. Search your library for any number of God cards, put them on the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So that, in combination with Maskwood Nexus, turns all my creatures into gods, and then lets me be able to put them all into play, which is the only combo that the deck really has. It's not infinite, obviously, because it just happens the one time. But if you haven't hit very many of your creatures this game and be able to do that and put them all into play, it can swing every game in your favor, especially with all the stuff we got going on here. But there is Hei Bai As I've said, he's a lot of fun. It focuses on blink. It is not overly aggressive in the early game and kind of will go under the radar unless people have played against shrines. But by the time that people really look at you and go, we should probably do something about the shrine player, it's kind of hard to deal with me at that point. Not saying that you can't. It doesn't win every game, but it does win a lot of games. And I think one reason of that is, as we all know at this point, I'm sure, people do not run enough enchantment removal. So playing enchantments by itself is kind of hard to deal with for most decks. But this one being blink and having all of the good shrines in it, it gets very powerful and very hard to deal with. And even when people have removed a lot of stuff off my board, it has not stopped me from being able to just blink and do stuff and get stuff in play, and then be able to bring Northern Air Temple into play when I have 14 shrines in play and deal 14 to each player and gain 14 life, and then go to my pre-combat main phase and hit everybody for 14 again and gain 14 life. So it's very powerful. It's very fun. This was my first full-on shrines deck, and I don't regret building it at all. And I can tell anybody who's interested in Hei Bai that you will have a lot of fun playing him if you build this deck. Now we can do a little play test. Not bad. Forest. Turn. Belwar Stone. Three, four. Right now, creature spells can't be countered. So tap all four of those. Play Hei Bai. Good to go. Get 2 basic lands. Do that and draw a card. Then flicker Hei Bai. Then yeah, so flicker Hei Bai. He'll enter with another 1/1 counter. Sanctum of Tranquil Light. When that enchantment enters, draw another card. Three, four, 5, 6, 7. Spirit Oasis. Draw me 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. Two mana for that. 2 mana for this. So this would tap for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana, 7 mana. So tap for 7, play a meal, use the other 3 in a meal, blink Hei Bai, trigger. Northern Air Temple. Shuffle, shuffle. So Northern Air Temple enters, I would draw a card. And then also it would deal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage to each player, and I would gain 5 life. I used that mana from that for a meal. And the blink there, so 3, 6, 7, 8. So I can use 3 more here and flicker Hei Bai again. Goshintai. When Goshintai enters, I'll make a shrine token. Whenever another shrine enters, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So that'd be 2 more lost of everybody else and 2 more gained for me. This is letting me, every time a shrine enters, go and get another basic land. I can go get a couple basics off that. Let's see. I didn't cast that. Didn't cast that. So flicker again. There's a roll tree. Goshintai of Ancient Wars. So then I will make another shrine token and draw 2 more cards. I don't remember if I've made my land drop or not, so we'll say I haven't. 2 life. 1, 2, 3. Decanter of Endless Water. Move to instep. Tap that for Goshintai of Ancient Wars to deal X damage to target player or planeswalker, where X is the number of shrines I control, which is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I deal 9 damage to somebody. Next turn, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Plus this, which will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 13 mana organically, and then 11 from Sanctum of Weaver. So 24 mana on turn 8. Go to 21 and cast Satyr Enchanter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And cast Shrine Steward. I'll go and search for a shrine card. Get Sanctum of All. Do that. Cast Sanctum of All. Get another life. Everybody loses another life. Make another shrine. Cast an enchantment there, and then another shrine entered, so I'll draw 2. I cast an enchantment, so I'll gain a life. Then the rest of the mana off Sanctum of Weaver, I will dump into a meal. So get me 4 more triggers of Hei Bai, so we'll blink Hei Bai 4 times. There's 1. There's 2. There's 3. And there's 4. We'd still have 1 left here. This will double shrine triggers because I have more than enough shrines. I can put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 17 counters on to a creature. So I'll put them all on Hei Bai, which makes him lethal commander damage at this point. Beginning of your upkeep, beginning of your upkeep. So then I have 1 mana left here. This will double my triggers here. and there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So there's 18 shrines out. So I'll go to end step and pay 1 into Go Shintai of Ancient Wars, which will deal 18 damage to target player. But then this will trigger because I have 6 or more shrines, so it triggers another time. So I'll deal 18 to 2 people. So as I've said, he's pretty fun. He's pretty powerful, and he has to be dealt with, or this is hard to deal with. So thanks for watching. And please follow, become a subscriber on my YouTube channel. I made it to 100 people, which is amazing to me as a small, tiny content creator. But I'm very thankful to have all the people that I do have. But I would love to have more people follow. So please sub to the channel and like and comment and let me know what you're enjoying or what could make content better for you. I would love to be able to hear that from everybody. So till next time.